Welcome back, folks. I'm nervous about this one. And if you're thinking about buying a Harley-Davidson Street Glide, you should be nervous too. If you already own a Harley-Davidson Street Glide and are easily offended, then now is the time to turn off this YouTube channel. Okay, let's get on with it, but not before saying that all of the views in this video are my own and I do not represent anybody else's opinion of said bike. Okay? Right, that should keep the liars off me for a while. A few months ago, myself and 60 other riders from Ireland travelled 4,000 kilometres on Route 66 to raise money for the Children's Health Foundation. It was a trip of firsts for me, as not only had I never ridden Route 66 before, but I'd also never ridden a Harley. Upon arrival at the hire company, I was delighted to find that I'd been given a Street Glide, and the new 2024 model at that. As we traversed the route over 2 weeks, that excitement waned, and after covering the 4,000 kilometres, I feel qualified to bring you my honest opinion. Do I like it, is the ultimate question. The answer is no. I would never ever buy one of these, especially for the roads in Ireland. In my book, it's too heavy. It's also top heavy. So whilst you can have a heavy bike, they're a lot easier to manage when the weight is down low. On a Harley-Davidson Street Glide, and this is the new one, the 2024 model with the 117 engine. It's far too top heavy. It's so unforgiving. I've touched on it before. You know, if you go past that 20-degree lean angle, the bike is gone. And it would take a much stronger person than myself to keep it upright. Especially if you're riding pillion, you just wouldn't stand a hope of keeping it upright. The Milwaukee 8, the 117 engine, has a displacement of 1923 cc's. That's 117 cubic inches, hence the name. It's known for its torque-rich performance, producing 170 newton meters of torque, and that's 127 pound-foot at 3,750 RPMs, and it does fly off the start line. However, that's short-lived, because when I'm up to about 80 and trying to overtake on a highway, you very much have to plan your execution, as I got caught out on several occasions, which is surprising for an all-day cruiser. This led me to believe the bike is at its happiest sitting between 65 and 70 miles an hour. I also had to be conscious, more so than other bikes I've ridden, of the gear selection I'm in whilst riding at a slower speed through towns. So at about 30 miles an hour, second gear was too short and the third gear coughed and spluttered. So I was either over the speed limit or under it to make the ride smoother. As a result of this, I found myself using the clutch a lot, and it is the heaviest clutch I've ever used. My hand was aching constantly, and maybe in the comments you Harley heads could explain if there's a technical reason why there's not a slip and assist clutch on a 2024 bike. I know I sound like I'm Harley bashing at this stage, but there are some good points to come, and I still really wanted to like this bike. After all, I was on the trip of a lifetime, so naturally I wanted everything to be perfect. They are designed for a purpose. They're designed for roads like this. Point them in a straight line, set cruise control, sit back and enjoy the scenery. For anything more than that, I mean, we were on twisties yesterday going up the mountain there. It's really not the bike to be doing that on. In fact, I was speaking with a few of the guys last night who felt very unnerved doing roads like that on a bike as big and as heavy as this. Gearbox, terrible. One of the worst gearboxes, if not the worst gearbox. In fact, yes, I'll categorically say it's the worst gearbox I've ever ridden on a bike. You've literally got to stamp on the gear shift pedal to move up and down the box. For the first few days, I was convinced that the bike didn't even have a neutral, because it takes a lot to find it, and there's a little knack to it. You've got to give it a few revs and then lift up the gear lever ever so slightly to find neutral. Unless you do that, you won't find it. And then going through the gear range, it's hardship. It really is hardship. This is not comfortable riding
if you're in anything but top gear cruising along like this.
Okay, I promised I would find something positive, and let's start with the luggage capacity. You can easily travel across Route 66 with a pillion and enough clothes to last you a fortnight. The back box is massive, with easily enough room for 2 helmets as well as a whole lot more. The side panniers are deep, and you and your partner could choose one each for the trip. Even the little drawer on the front of the dash here is a great place to keep your phone or 2. And there's a handy USB charging socket in there also, although mine had burned out and didn't charge anything. When I discovered this, it was just another setback for this bike to win me over. Simple things which should work and make your life easier on the road didn't. Now, thank goodness for that big windscreen.
The windscreen, this is something I really dislike. It's so badly designed. There's so much buffeting. I've found that if you open this vent here, it minimises the buffeting with whatever it's doing with the airflow. But if you close it, you get sucked into this sort of vacuum behind the screen, and geez, it's enough to knock you dizzy. It's really awful. I've mentioned the curve where the lip of the screen flips up here. That distorted curve is right in my eye line, and I suspect when I get home and look at all of this footage, it's right in your eye line as well, so apologies for that. I did consider taking the screen off at one stage because it was causing so many problems, but then I think the amount of wind noise hitting the helmet would have nearly made the audio unusable. So I've stuck with the screen. I just hope it works for you folks. The riding position, I think, is beautiful. I love the footboards. It's all day long comfortable. The seat is incredible. It really is built for touring. Like I keep saying, not much more than that. But yeah, the riding position suits me perfectly. I'm 5'8", 30-inch inseam. It's perfect for me. I really enjoy the riding position. The other thing, the looks. It's a Harley, of course, you know. It's a fantastic looking bike. It's an amazing sounding bike. It has all of that wow factor. Even Americans still look at these bikes when you pull into a gas station. They want to know who we are, what we're doing, where we're going on these wonderful looking bikes. So they do create a lot of attention. It is the ultimate American dream, after all.
And seriously, I do get the romance of riding a Harley on Route 66. In fact, I was given the option of riding a BMW, and I thought, how could anybody ride anything but a Harley on 66? But now I know. The seat I thought was superb, but it turns out it wasn't to everybody's taste. But let's address the elephant in the room: the suspension.
The suspension on this bike is absolutely shocking. Now obviously it's to do with the weight of the bike. This is the weight of the bike. I put it up on the screen here. But you would have thought that Harley could have, at this stage in 2024, made suspension which could cater for the bike. I'm 200 pounds, and you know, compared to a larger sized American chap, I'm only in the halfpenny place. So it should be well able to cope with bumps and divots and potholes in the road, and it's not. I've bottomed the bike out so many times on this trip. I've actually thought, have I done damage to the bike? Have I ripped off the stand? Oh, that's the other thing. Sorry, I told you, I'm on a run now. The side stand, it doesn't work. There's no kill switch on it, first of all, which is a huge safety feature missing. So there's been a few times people have pulled away in my group with their side stands down. I know other lads as well who I've spoken to have done it, and we all know how dangerous that can be. If you turn left out of the filling station, you're in trouble with your side stand down. But my bike went over. A few of the other bikes have gone over just in my group. I don't even know what's happening in the other groups, but all due to the side stand when we go to park them, and the sheer weight of the bike. If you're on any sort of slope, and I mean only a couple of degrees, the sheer weight of the bike, even though you're in gear, will still edge forward ever so slightly. And the side stand doesn't lock correctly into place, so the bikes are going over. Now, the infotainment thing, this is a good thing, because even in this hugely bright sunshine, it's as clear as a bell. You can see this, it's massive. I think it's 12-inch diameter, the screen. It's very bright. You can see everything you need to see And I'm very impressed that even me, a dinosaur, has been able to find my way around it, and you can select everything. The sat-nav actually works great, built-in sat-nav here, and the speakers for the stereo are incredible, better than my hi-fi at home. They're so loud, even with my earplugs in when I'm riding along at 75 miles an hour on this and the roar of the engine. I can hear the radio stations perfectly, so super impressed with all that.
However, my bike didn't have Apple or Android CarPlay, which for a bike like this in a cutting-edge touring battle with other manufacturers is an oversight in my opinion, especially at this starting price of $30,000 or the equivalent in Europe. Right, nearly there, let's talk brakes.
They basically shake the bike so much that I feel when I come to a really hard brake using rear and front brakes, it's nearly out of control, the bike, when I've had to slam the brakes on because of oncoming traffic on the other side of the road or something like that. It's only happened twice, fortunately, and it's not good when the bike shakes as much as it does, even coming to a sort of gentle stop when you use the front brake. Whilst there's no fork dive, I'd say there's some sort of telelever system going on there. So it's brilliant for pillions, because the pillions aren't going to sort of be nutting the back of your head. The bike just sinks without too much fork dive at all. But the shake involved in this is, well, it's just not good. It's a new bike. It's only done 15,000 miles. And there's so many flawed design elements on this bike. I really don't know who on earth would buy one. Unless you've got loads of money, you want to live the American dream, then I'm not sure who this bike is for. But one thing I do know is that it is certainly not for me.
And on that note, my wife is delighted, as she honestly thought I'd be coming home from this trip with a deposit placed on one. Anyway, to finish on a positive, the fuel economy was actually okay for a bike of this weight and engine size, and I averaged 41 miles per gallon for the entire journey.
So there you go. Thanks a million for tuning in, folks. I'm sorry if I've upset you Harley owners out there, but listen, I've always said I'm 100% transparent, and I am. This is my findings on the 2024 Harley-Davidson Street Glide. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back on YouTube next Saturday at 8 a.m. Ride safe, everybody. Have a great week. I love saying these little payoff lines. Dave Perry, California, for WheelieGoodTV. Over and out.